Tens of people have been killed and more than 750 injured in a huge explosion at the port of Bandar Abbas in southern Iran, according to official Iranian media citing the country's interior ministry. The explosion sent a huge plume of thick gray smoke from the Shahid Raja'i part of the port complex, with the government saying the blast was likely linked to chemicals being stored. Iran's Minister of Interior Eskandar Momeni said 6 people remain missing as firefighters continue to work to extinguish the blaze, despite challenges posed by high winds, Iranian media reported. No cause has been given for the explosion. A government spokeswoman, Fatemeh Mohajerani, said it would take some time to establish the cause. But so far, what has been determined is that containers were stored in a corner of the port that likely contained chemicals which exploded. She added, "But until the fire is extinguished, it's hard to ascertain the cause." Iran's National Iranian Oil Refining and Distribution Company said the explosion at the port was not related to the refineries, fuel tanks, or oil pipelines associated with the company in that area. This came after Iranian official media reported that the blast occurred after a fuel tanker at the port exploded for unknown reasons. The incident prompted Iranian authorities to declare a state of emergency in the city of Bandar Abbas to safeguard citizens amid a significant rise in air pollution. The Ministry of Health has mobilized health teams and implemented emergency measures to protect public health. Citizens are advised to stay indoors, avoid outdoor activities, and keep windows closed, according to official Iranian media. A video distributed by the Mehr news agency showed surveillance footage of the moment of the explosion, which appears to have occurred in a warehouse at the port. Other footage showed helicopters dropping water at the site of the fire ignited by the explosion. Debris was spread over a wide area, and many buildings at the port complex were badly damaged, according to state media. Windows within a radius of several kilometers were shattered, they said. Some reports said people were trapped in the wreckage of a building that was reduced to rubble. The region's governor, Mohammad Ashuri Taziani, said injured people were being transferred to Bandar Abbas medical centers. The port has been closed and maritime operations suspended, according to state media. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian has ordered an investigation into the causes of the incident. He wrote on X that the Interior Minister had been sent to the region to examine the dimensions of the accident. After receiving initial reports and analyzing the possible causes of the incident, Pezeshkian emphasized the need to conduct a comprehensive assessment of the causes of the incident as soon as possible to prevent the recurrence of such incidents in the future. State broadcaster IRIB said the explosion took place in the chemical and sulfur area of the port. The incident has shocked the country, and many were seen on Iran's state-run Press TV lining up at a health center to donate blood for the injured. Shahid Raja'i is a large facility for container shipments, covering 2,400 hectares, around 5,900 acres. It handles 70 million tons of cargo annually, including oil and general shipping. It has nearly 500,000 square meters, 5.4 million square feet of warehouses and 35 shipping berths. A series of deadly incidents has hit Iranian energy and industrial infrastructure in recent years, with many, like Saturday's blast, blamed on negligence. They have included refinery fires, a gas explosion at a coal mine, and an emergency repair incident at Bandar Abbas that killed one worker in 2023. Iran has blamed some other incidents on its arch-foe Israel, which has carried out attacks on Iranian soil targeting Iran's nuclear program in recent years, and last year bombed the country's air defenses. Tehran said Israel was behind a February 2024 attack on Iranian gas pipelines, while in 2020 computers at Shahid Raja'i were hit by a cyber attack. The Washington Post reported that Israel appeared to be behind that incident as retaliation for an earlier Iranian cyber attack. Israel has indicated it is nervous about the outcome of U.S.-Iran talks, demanding a full dismantlement of Iran's nuclear program. Tehran says the program is used solely for peaceful purposes, while international observers say it is getting closer to being able to build a bomb. There was no immediate comment from Israel's military or Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office when asked for comment on whether Israel was in any way involved in Saturday's explosion. Oil facilities were not affected by the blast on Saturday, Iranian authorities said. The National Iranian Petroleum Refining and Distribution Company said in a statement it had no connection to refineries, fuel tanks, distribution complexes, and oil pipelines. And while we are at the Middle East, Africa is also becoming a playground for the world powers. Usually, the symbiotic relationship between Russia and China is discussed in the context of the Kremlin's war on Ukraine or the international trade sanctions it entails. However, there is also a less noticeable side to this cooperation concerning both countries' ambitions in Africa, where Russia effectively paves the way for Chinese arms supplies into the continent. There is at least one interesting example, reported by OPEX 360, featuring a small batch of FK-2000 air defense systems. And although the volumes were not that impressive in this instance, we should really pay attention to the geopolitical configuration here. Specifically, China has delivered at least 2 FK-2000 surface-to-air missile and anti-aircraft artillery systems to the armed forces of Chad. These systems occupy the same niche as the Russian Pantsir and have an operating range of 25 kilometers against airborne targets. Alongside the FK-2000s, 64 associated missiles and 6,000 30mm rounds were also supplied. Chad needs these systems to ensure its air defense against the backdrop of constant hostilities in the neighboring Sudan. The military operations are heavily supported by aviation, creating a permeating risk of accidental strikes on adjacent foreign territories. According to OPEX 360, the transfer was mediated by the United Arab Emirates. And there's also a bit of intrigue. The Chinese air defense systems may end up in possession of one of the conflict sides in Sudan, supported by Chad. The fact of this supply may seem ordinary at first glance, but what matters here is the context. The first detail of note is that up to this point, there had been no recorded cases of China selling its air defense systems in the African market before, only armored vehicles and self-propelled artillery. Secondly, the delivery took place shortly after the Chadian government declared a political course toward closer defense cooperation with Russia in fall 2024. That makes it strange that Chad opted for Chinese weapons instead of the aforementioned Pantsir systems, especially considering that the African nation's air defense inventory is overall very modest. 4 Cub-SAM launchers, 6 ZSU-23-4 Shilka self-propelled autocannons, and 1 MiG-29 fighter in storage. It remains unclear if this transfer was an elaborate form of cooperation between Beijing and Moscow in Africa, or another illustration of China pushing Russia out of its traditional defense markets. But to complete the picture of this possible symbiosis between the countries, we should recall one more indicative episode. In summer 2024, Italian police uncovered a batch of Wing-Lung UCAVs China was transporting through to Libya, disguised as wind turbines. The combat drones, as turned out, were intended for the troops of Field Marshal Khalifa Haftar, a satellite ruler under Russia. Although they didn't manage to reach the destination, the precedent where the Chinese supplied weapons to Russian satellites in Africa is telling enough.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.